Hello everyone, so welcome you back to Ashok Tutorials Meghalaya's first Mtet channel. So as you know that I have started with you know I have started with explanation of the syllabus again once again for the year 2024. So let's get started. So I have already explained to you about the syllabus of paper 1, that is for LP section, and from this video on we are going to learn about the Mtet syllabus for paper 2, that is UP section. So first of all, as I always do, let me explain to you the syllabus for CDP. Alright, so CDP syllabus is divided into 7 units. How many units? 7 units. And as you know, it is for 30 marks, right? It is for 30 marks. So which means there will be 30 questions altogether. So now what we will do is that we will discuss them unit wise. So first of all, unit 1, you have understanding development. So you have to understand what do we mean by development. And you know developments are of different types. So developments are of different types. So this unit is for 3 marks. So when we study each of these subunits, it is very long and in very much detail, right? But it looks very simple, right? Just one line, one sentence. So for 3 marks, this unit is too much, right? But still we have to study. So if you want to score 3 marks, you need to study this particular unit very nicely. So understanding development, we need to understand the meaning and concept of what? Of growth as well as development. All right, so what is growth, what is development, what are the differences between growth and development, which one of this is a lifelong process? So those we have to understand. What are the different factors, what are the different pros and cons? So everything we need to analyze and we need to understand. All right, so there can be different types of like development: physical development, moral development, emotional development, social development, right? Then psychomotor development, then development characteristic with respect to childhood and adolescent stage. See, these two stages are very much important. Adolescence, what is adolescence? We have to understand that. So adolescence is a period of stress and storm, right? So we have to read this. What are the different changes which takes place in adolescent stage? What are the mental status of the adolescent? Now what is childhood? What are the different stages in childhood? Those things we have to study in this particular unit, subunit. Now development of children in socio-cultural context and its relation to learning. We also need to learn about the development of children in socio-cultural context. Since we are human beings, we don't live alone, right? We live in a society, so we are expected of following few certain norms of the society, and we have to follow certain cultures of the society, right? So how those cultures and rules of the society help in shaping the child, that we have to study. Then factors, what are the different type of factors which affects or influence development, that also we need to study. So all these subunits we need to study in detail in order to score 3 marks. All right, now let's go to the next unit. Shall I zoom it for you a little bit? Yes, I should. All right, so now let's go to the second one, that is aspects of development. So what are the different aspects of development? Let's see. Physical and motor development. See, by the word physical itself you understand what is physical, and by the word motor itself you understand what is motor. Motor means movement, physical means whatever we can see and touch, right? Now it will be for 4 marks. This particular unit will be for 4 marks. So we have to see physical development of the child, motor development of the child, and cognitive development we have to study with respect to Piaget's theory of cognitive development. So this one I have already explained quite a number of times, but still I will explain it to you one more time as I make the dedicated video for the subunits. Alright, so we need to study about Piaget's cognitive development theory. Now socio-emotional development. Now how is social development taking place? How is emotional development taking place in the children? That also we need to study. Then we need to study the moral development by which psychologist? Kohlberg's theory of moral development and Carol Gilligan's critics we need to study. Alright, see, just yesterday I was going through the seated question paper. This Carol Gilligan's critic came for that seated exam, yesterday's seated exam, UP section. It came, this Carol Gilligan's critic question came on this topic. So everything is interrelated. So if you master your pedagogy, you master everything. Nobody can stop you. You really become unstoppable. You become, when you are the master of pedagogy. So that is why, my dear friends, I try my best to make you the masters of pedagogy, because once your pedagogy is crystal clear, you know all other subjects, rest of the subjects, it becomes very very easy. It becomes a cakewalk for you. Let's go to the next unit, that is third one, gender development. This will be for 4 marks. So as we know, gender, what is gender, what is sex, you need to know the differences between gender and the sex. Of course, sex is something which we can accept, that is whether you are a male or a female. So sex is a biological term, right? But then gender is a negative term, all right? It is a negative term which is given by the society. There are certain, all right, I will discuss it later on. So when we talk about gender, we talk about females, and males, right? Gender, but this is biological sexes. All right, biological sexes, male and female. Now, stages of gender development, there are certain stages how a gender is developed, that also we need to study. Now, stereotypes. Stereotype is a very very important word, my dear friends. So stereotype in gender process development. So what is stereotypes? Stereotypes, I have been telling you multiple number of times, means that girls cannot play cricket, boys cannot sweep the floor, girls cannot play kabaddi, boys cannot wash clothes, or girls have to wear pink and boys have to wear blue or black. These are all stereotype thinking. We say, suppose a child falls down and the parents say, hey, don't cry. If a boy child falls down and he is crying, then they say, don't cry like a girl. This is what? This is called stereotype, which means if you are also, those who are watching my videos, if you also say this kind of things sometime or the other, now is the correct time for you to unfollow these stereotypes. Of course, these stereotypes is everywhere in our society, but we have to be the change. First of all, we teachers have to be the change, then only the society will change. So don't encourage stereotypes. Don't, people say girls cannot ride bikes. Of course they can do. Those who say girls cannot ride bike, your mind is stereotypes. So you have to be very much open-minded. Whatever the boys can do, the girls can do. Whatever the girls can do, the boys can also do. This should be our mindset. There should be equality between the two sexes, males and females. All right. Now, gender bias and educational practices. Now, what is gender bias? Gender bias means, suppose we think that suppose you as a teacher, not you, let me not say you, let somebody like with the name, what name should I use? Somebody with the name, alright, I'll just take a later, right? Suppose a teacher A, he favors the females, alright? He favors the girl child of the school, but he do not favor the boys. Or there is another teacher B who favors the boys but not the girls. So these are what? These are the gender biases. So A interacts with the girls all the time, but he neglects the boys, and B interacts with the boys but neglects the girls. So this should not be the case. There should be equality between the two sexes. All right. So gender identity in the family and in matrilineal society. Now see, what is matrilineal society? Meghalaya, our proudly we can say we are the people of Meghalaya, a matrilineal society where the daughters are taking the surname of the mother, right? Now, gender identity, how a gender is identified in the family plays a very important role. So those also we need to take care of. All right, let's go to the next one now. Methods of child study. So we can study the background of the child, the present situation of the child, the past of the child, the history of the child in different methods. So this particular unit, method of child study, will come for 4 marks. How many marks? 4 marks. So cross sectional study, longitudinal study, and case study. Cross sectional, what is cross sectional study? We will study. Then what is longitudinal study? Also we shall study. Then case study also we should study everything in detail as I make the dedicated videos on this. All right, then we have to study about naturalistic and participant observation. So how are we going to study the child in the natural setting, and how are we going to observe the child in the natural settings? Then reflective journals we will take. Then students portfolio, how a portfolio is built, what are the informations filled up there, those things we should take care of. Then anecdotal records we will study. Then interview, you know what is an interview. Then narrative study. Then Piaget's clinical method of child study we shall study in detail. Right, this one, Piaget's clinical method of child study. Now let's go to the next unit, that is unit 5. Unit 5 is for 5 marks. It is with inclusive education and children with special needs. See, children with special needs, many times you will see it is written CWSN, so you have to be careful. So children with special needs. Now concept meaning of inclusive education. So if you remember, while you were doing your B.Ed, we have an entire unit where we talk about inclusive education, and we have even done field training or field work on this, right? So what is inclusive education, what is the meaning, those things you need to study. Then differences between integrated and inclusive education. So it is of 2 type. All right, inclusive education and integrated education, it is of 2 types. So you have to understand, differentiate. You should be able to differentiate between the 2. Now understanding disability and types of disabilities. So what are the different types of disabilities, like dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, autism, all this you have to know. All right, then how many types of disabilities are there? There are 21 types of disabilities, right? Now barriers and challenges to inclusive education. What are the different types of barriers we face in inclusive education? What are the different type of challenges we face? Now inclusive education in children from different backgrounds, students coming from tribal families, underprivileged students, students coming from BPL family backgrounds, and children from low financial backgrounds, children from literate parents. So in a classroom is a mixture of students coming from different backgrounds. So as teachers we should know how to balance the classroom in such a way that all the child they feel accepted and nobody is left behind. All right, so let's see now what we have here. Unit 6, learning and pedagogy. And this learning and pedagogy is again coming for 5 marks. All right, so let's see what is learning and what is pedagogy. So concept of learning and factors of active learning. So we should know what is learning, how is learning done, what are the factors needed for efficient learning. So those things we should know. Information processing approaches, concept of working memory, long-term memory, short-term memory, attention, encoding, and retrieval. So these are some of the approaches of information processing we should know. Now Piaget's constructivism, what is learning, relationship between learning and the development we need to study. Piaget's constructivism we need to know. Vygotsky's social constructivism theory also we should study. Teacher-centered versus learner-centered approaches of teaching. See, when we are teaching in a classroom, what happens is that the methods we follow, the style we follow, the teaching we are giving in the classroom should be all child-centered and not teacher-centered. All right, because teachers, they don't have to learn inside the classroom. They need to learn, they need to study, they need to practice, they need to prepare outside the classroom and come back to the classroom and deliver or share the knowledge with the learners, right? So the learning should be for the learners, not for the teachers. Therefore we say the teaching should be not teacher centered but learner centered. The teaching should be learner centered, right? Skills, teaching skills and activity based teaching. Now see, what are teaching skills? There are different type of teaching skills, right? you know about micro teaching skills like stimulus response, questioning, probing questionings, then you know uh, uh, explaining the link, then giving examples, then uh, they were redirecting the question, then reframing the question, asking the questions. So there are different techniques which we use as teachers inside the classroom. And whenever you are organizing certain activities in the classroom, then you are encouraging the learners, you are really making effort for the learners to learn, because it becomes very boring for the learner sitting in one place whole day and studying the subject. So as teachers, what we can do is that we can ask them to participate. We can organize few activities inside the classroom and make our teaching learning process a very effective one. So this is what I do as teachers, and I expect you as well to do the same. Now, steps of preparation of teaching: pre-teaching, transaction of teaching, post-teaching, including teaching plans and lesson plans. Now, as teachers, you know how to prepare, what to prepare, when to prepare. What is our pre-teaching? What is our plan for the day? What is our lesson plan? How to do the checking of the copies? Everything you know, right? So you understand, right? Now, the last part is learning resources or teaching learning materials. Now, see, TLM, teaching learning materials, is called TLM. So how are we using the teaching learning materials? What are the different type of teaching learning materials we are using in a classroom? Like, the simplest of all is the chalk and talk method, right? Then we use presentations, we use slides, we use the we bring the uh, our own self-made materials. Then we use pictures, we use videos, audios. Then we take the students outside the classroom to make the learning a real life learning, which means connecting the classroom situation with the outside world. So this is what we believe in the present world, right? Let's go to the last unit. I suppose this is the last unit. Yes, this is the last unit. So it will be for 5 marks again. So assessment of students performance. Now you see, when we are starting academic year, what do we do is that we prepare the students right from the beginning of the session till the end, so that by the end of the session we are able to you know find out how much the students have progressed. So there are certain techniques, certain assessment tools which we use. Now, assessment can be of two types. There is formative assessment and summative assessment. So there are two types of assessment: formative assessment and summative assessment. Now, what is formative assessment? Formative assessment is a type of assessment where the assessment is done during the course of study. Suppose class test or asking questions during the class. So this comes under summative formative assessment, I mean. And summative assessment means something which is done at the end of the session. For example, half yearly examination, annual examinations comes under summative assessment. Now, school based assessment. Now, whatever assessment taken up, whatever assessment is taken up in the school are known as school based assessment, or SBA. In short, we call it SBA. Now, the third part is that assessment for learning and assessment of learning. See, take care of these words: for and of. These things you need to take care of. Assessment for learning is different and assessment of learning is different. Now, techniques and tools of school-based assessment, including activity-based assessment. Now, what are the different types of techniques and tools we are using in order to assess the children are some things we need to study. Now, blueprint and different types of questions. What are the blueprint of the study, and what are the different types of questions, like the low order questions, middle order questions, high order questions, open-ended questions, close-ended questions. All these things we need to discuss here thoroughly. Now, the last part is assessment and remedial measures. Now, we also know that suppose when we are doing summative assessment of the learners, which means giving them the progress report at the end of the session, then some of the students we detain. Why do we detain? To give the remedial measures, which means they need to study the same class once more, because their concept, whatever they have learned, is not enough in order to promote them to the next class, right? So that's why we detain some of the students. But as you know, there are certain policies which says that no detention policy is there, right? Which which discourages us from detaining the students, right, of the elementary level, which means up to class 8 in government aided schools. In government schools like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, we should not detain the students up to class 8, right? So all these things, we need to take care of, and accordingly we should design our, you know curriculum, so that we are able to help the students in the best way possible, right? So I hope something or the other, at least a rough overview, you have got about the syllabus for UP section Mtet. And this syllabus you should study for your next Mtet exam. Of course, the syllabus is not going to change again and again. Some of you are asking like the syllabus, whether the syllabus is going to remain the same. Of course, 99% the syllabus will be same. Even if they want to change, they will not change it so much. And I don't think that they are even going to change, because we have already seen that last year only it was changed, right? So this syllabus will last now. So everything I have to say I said already in this video. So thank you everyone for staying connected with Ashok Tutorials. Thank you. Hello everyone, so welcome you back to Ashok Tutorials. Well, today we are going to learn about paper 2 Mtet syllabus 2024. So today the subject we have chosen is Garo, that is MIL subject. So whatever, see why I have chosen Garo to explain is that because only Garo I found among MIL which is written in English, so I'll be explaining this one only. Now, when I'm explaining this English version of Garo, it applies to all the MIL subjects, which means whether it is Khasi, Assamese, Bengali, whatever the subject is, it is going to be the same. Alright, so it is, the only thing is that it is translated in English. So if you wish that you should study, you should know the syllabus of Khasi, then only the language is different, but whatever the content is, whatever the syllabus is, it is all the same. Alright, so it's up to you whether you want to refer this English video of MIL, or you want to refer to, or you want to do self-study of your own MIL subject. You can do it as you wish. Alright, so let's see what we have here. So first of all, this Garo or this MIL, it applies to all. Alright, Khasi also, Nepali also, Bengali, Assamese, everything. So this is a paper 2. It will be for how many marks? It will be for 30 marks. Alright, now let me see how many units are given here. Not units, it is not given unit wise, so let's just go one by one. Let me zoom it furthermore for you. Alright, so I think this is excessively zoomed, right? So alright, so it will be coming for 30 marks, 30 marks. Now number 1, you have comprehension and meaning making, schema theory. You should know what is schema theory. You should know what is comprehension. You should know how to know the meanings of certain words given. You should develop your vocabulary, in order to solve this kind of units. You need to know the meaning, you need to know the role, you need to know the activating schema and building schema. So all these things you need to study in this particular unit. Alright, comprehension and meaning making or schema theory. Now let's go to the next one, that is reading strategies. Now how are we going to read, or what are the different type of strategies to read? Now you see here KWL. What does this KWL stands for? It stands for know. KNOW, know, want to know, and learning. So KWL means know, want to know, learn, right? Then the second one is SQ 3R. So what is SQ? S goes to survey, Q means questioning or question, and 3R means 3 times R, that is read, recite and review. So survey, question, then 3R means read, recite, review. Alright, so this is the full form. Now note making, you need to know what is note making, what is summarizing, what is skimming. Skimming is very important, my dear friends. Scanning also very important. What is skimming, what is scanning? Then think aloud by the teacher to demonstrate meaning making. How do we make meaning? So these things, the language teachers, they are very much expert in this, so they know everything better than I can even explain, right? So they know it better. So those language teachers, whoever is watching my video, you know it better, so please guide and help accordingly, right? Let's go to number 3, that is teaching grammar. Many of us, we don't like grammars, right? Even I don't like grammar much. So we need to know certain amount of grammar in order to pass this exam. What is that? Sentence and its kind, identification, different kinds of sentences. We should know what are the different types of sentences, what is a sentence, how many types of sentences are there. So all these things we need to know. Then we need to know the tenses: past tense, present tense, future continuous tense, present continuous tense, whatever tenses we have, we need to know all those. Then case and its kind. So what are the case is a you know case is a unit or a topic which we study in grammar. So you need to know what is a case, what are its kind, then how do we identify the different kinds of cases in the given sentences. Then persons, you have to the identification of first, second and third person. First person, second person, third person, in grammar you learn, right? So those you should know. How will you identify the persons? All right, first, how will you say this is first person, this is second person, this is third person? So you need to know it. Then we go to number 4, how to teach prose and poetry using different methods and strategies. Now language teachers, they teach the prose and poetry, right? And they use different type of methods: slow reading, then silent reading, then fast reading, then recitation. So this and that, right? Let's go to number 5, writing across the curriculum. So how do we write, what do we write? So writing the process of understanding the process of writing. So what is the process of writing, that we need to understand. Writing with a sense of audience. Whenever we are writing something, we should imagine in our brain what the audience will think, what will be the perspective of the audience, what will be the expectation of the audience. So those things we should keep in mind while writing something or create a piece of art. Now creative writing, what are the different types of creative writing? Composition, expository writing and expressive writing. Creative writings, right? Poems writing, right? Then essay writing, or anything which you imagine and you write. Song writing, lyrics writing, so all those comes under creative writing. Composition. Then number 6, we have assessment. See, assessment is a very important topic. It is coming everywhere. It is coming in CDP also, maths also, science also, social science also, EVS also, language 1, language 2, everywhere this particular assessment is coming. So continuous and comprehensive evaluation, you should know the full form. All right, my dear friends, this is asked many times in exams. What do you mean by CCE? So you have to know that this is continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Now observation schedule, checklist, rubrics, portfolios and rating skills. So continuous and comprehensive evaluation, so these are the ways in which we assess the children: by observation, by checklist, by rubrics, by portfolio, by rating. All right, so rating skill. So these things you should know. Then number 7, the last one, comes archic composition. What is this? Archic composition, right? So wise saying, agan meapa. Then pair of words, that is kata kujikse. They have written kujilse, but this is kujikse, right? So kata kujikse you have to study, and then you have to study agan meapa. So agan meapa is a very interesting one. I love it. When I was in school, I used to study agan meapa and I was very good at it. And also kata kujikse also I was very good at. Like we have the pairs, na? We have 2 pairs, right? Athe, gchi, right? Something like that. So I already forgot now, but my friends will know it better. And agan meapa is something like angkerong chi khoa, right? If I'm not mistaken, angkerong chi khoa. Then kamalba namja, Angal Bagua or something like that. It was, I forgot, so sorry for my mispronunciation. So you please mention in the comment section. I will be very happy when you say this. So the best one I remember is Angkerong Chikwa Makre Parinia Mango Wal Ra'a. All those things I remember still. So it's very funny, very funny means it's very interesting, it's fun, you enjoy when you learn this arch composition. So the book also very small, tiny book is there, and it's very interesting book. I love it. I love arch composition very much. So I hope those, and yes, this is only for Garo subject. Those who are reading Khasi, I think there will be another book for Khasi subject, there will be another book for Bengali subject, there will be another book for Assamese subject. So this number 7 is related to only Garo subject. Alright, this is not related to Khasi or Assamese or Bengali. So you please avoid this last part, that is number 7, you can avoid. Apart from this, all from 1 to 6, everything remains exactly the same for all the languages. All right, so I hope you are able to understand the Garo syllabus or the language syllabus. This syllabus remains the same for all the MIL languages. All right, so I think this is all in this video. Thank you everyone for staying connected with Ashok Tutorials. Do love, like, share, subscribe Ashok Tutorials. Thank you everyone. Hello everyone, so welcome you back to Ashok Tutorials, Meghalaya's first Mtet channel. So today we are going to discuss paper 2 syllabus for Mtet exam. Alright, so today we have the subject English as language 2. Alright, so this is compulsory, so all of you have to attend. This is not optional, this is compulsory subject. Alright, so all of you have to attempt it. So I think it is better I zoom it out. All right, let me zoom it. Yes, it's zoomed, right? So let us see this English syllabus is divided into A, B and C. All right, so now first of all let us see about this part A. All right, A. So as you know, you have got how many marks here? 30 marks, right? 30 marks altogether. So there will be 30 questions as well. So A says constructivist approach to language learning. So what do we mean by constructivism? That you already understood, right? You know that Piaget talks about constructivism and Leo Vygotsky talk about constructivism. So what is it that we have to study? So constructivist approach to language learning, so create awareness about making connections between child's language, that is home language, and school language inside and outside the classroom. So here we will be learning how we can interconnect the home language or the mother tongue of the child along with the school language. So there should be a medium, there should be a way in which we are going to connect both the language of the child, that is the home language or the mother tongue, as well as along with the school language. All right, so it has got 3 parts. That is part A, functional aspects of language. So what is a language? We have to understand that what is a language. Then we have to understand construct language in different situations and how to construct the languages when we are given different situations. Then functions of language. So you need to remember 3 important things, like what is a language, how to construct the language, and what are the functions of the language. So these 3 things you need to know, and this will come for 3 marks. All right, let's see the next one. There is social context of language. This will come for 3 marks again. So influence of mother tongue on language learning. So how does mother tongue influence the learning of language or the learning of school language? So does it interfere negatively or positively or both, that we have to study. Now, multilingual nature of classroom, since we know that there are students coming from different family backgrounds speaking different languages, right? Everyone's mother tongue is different. So how do we maintain that multilingual nature of the classroom, that we need to study here. Now, status of English in India, and how important is English language in India? What is the status of English language in India, that we have to study? Then let's see number 3, that is again, or yes, this is for 6 marks. So what does it say? Let's see. All right. Early literacy. So oral language development through activities, requests and commands, storytelling, role plays, songs, rhymes, poems, language games, and chants. Then how is oral language development helping the individual? There are different ways, right, for learning this oral language or understanding this oral language. Like storytelling helps us in development of oral language, role plays, songs, rhymes, poems, and language games and chants. Then developmental stages of reading and writing. So what are the developmental stages of reading and writing? You know that there are 4 language skills, right? Listening, speaking, reading, writing. So here they are talking about developmental stages of reading and writing, all right, that you have to keep in mind. Now, phonemic awareness. Whenever you hear the word phone, you should be able to understand that it has something to do with sound, right? It has something to do with sound. Phone means sound. Phonemic means related to sound, oral, right? Now we have number 4, reading, and this reading is for 5 marks, all right? Reading is for 5 marks. So you need to know what are the different types of reading, like silent reading, loud reading, right? Then reading across the curriculum content and narrative texts, and how are we going to read across the curriculum, and how are we, going to read across the content, across the narrations, across the different text. So those things we will understand when we are dealing in detail with this reading unit. Now, role of schema. Schema is a very important word, my dear friends. You have to know what schema actually means. Suppose a child was told that whatever flies is a bird. So suppose a child sees an aeroplane, then the child will think that that aeroplane is also a bird, but a larger form of bird. And because it is in the schema of the child, in the back of the mind of the child, because the child has already formed the image that whatever flies is going to be a bird. So this is called schema, right? Schema means the background image of something we have in our mind. Then reading beyond textbooks. Then how do we go beyond the textbook in the process of reading? What are the different things we can read, like newspapers, articles, journals, magazines, right? So we can go beyond the textbooks. Then let's see another one, that is writing. And writing is for how many marks? It is for 5 marks. Now let us see what do we mean by writing. So process and purpose of writing, sense of audience, then writing process rather than product. Now when you are writing something, for example, you're writing a poem or you're writing a story or a lyrics, you need to keep in mind first of all this type of audience you will be targeting. Sense of audience means targeting the audience, like what are the expectations of the audience in order to make my work a more productive and excellent work, right? Then writing process, what is the process you are using in the form of writing, or what do you want to convey through your writing? That has to be very clear rather than the product, all right? Then composition and grammar. You know what is composition and what is grammar, right? So composition you have to know very well, then you have to know grammar, you have to know the parts of speech, everything you need to read in detail, right? Then what do? Then we do the part B, that is assessment. This assessment is for 3 marks. So understanding assessment in a constructivist process oriented classroom, ability to respond to content rather than form and structures using portfolios. So we'll be focusing on assessment, understanding the assessment in constructivist approach or in the constructivist way. Process oriented classroom, so ability to respond to content rather than form and structure using portfolios. How are we going to use the portfolio in understanding or responding to the content rather than focusing on the form and structures of the assessment? All right, as you know, there are two types of assessment, that is formative assessment and summative assessment, right? Then the last part, I think this is the end, so the last part is internship. What is that? Internship will be coming for 5 marks. So reflective journals or report writing. So what is reflective journals and how do we do our report writing? Then maintain profile of children. So what is that? Something in through which we maintain the profile of the children. Those things we have to keep in mind. All right, like how are we going to maintain the profile of the children? So student portfolio, you already heard, right? You know what is student portfolio is. Then you know anecdotal records, so those things. And writing reports like diary, maintaining teachers diary, maintaining assembly diary, then lesson plans and minute writing, all those things comes under this. All right, reflective journals or writing report, maintain profiles of children, right? So these are the parts of internship. So internship is for how many marks? Internship is for 5 marks. So this is your very sweet and simple syllabus of English paper 2 2024. All right, so it is divided into 3 parts. There is constructivist approach to language learning, part A, and then part B is assessment, and part C is internship. Then again in part A you have 4 groups, 4 or 5. Writing is also there now, so it is all right, 5 subunits you have, where the first one is functional aspect of language, second one is social context of language, then early literacy, reading and writing, right? So this was all about the syllabus of English paper 2. So thank you everyone for staying connected with the Ashok tutorials, and show your love and support to our channel by sharing, liking and subscribing to the channel. So thank you everyone. Hello everyone, so welcome you all to Ashok Tutorials, Meghalaya's first Mtet channel. So today we are going to discuss paper 2 mathematics for Mtet exam 2024, right? So let's see what we have here. So as you know, the exam will be for how many marks? It will be for 30 marks, right? So how many questions can you expect for mathematics? You can expect 30 questions, one question for 1 mark. All right, so now basically your mathematics is divided into 2 parts, that is pedagogical issues for 10 marks and content knowledge for 20 marks, which means, see, suppose if you think that you know nothing about mathematics and you don't study the content related topics, still it is fine if you just study or focus on these pedagogical issues. All right, because this will come for 10 marks, and if you can score 10 out of 30 also, that is fine enough, good enough. All right, it's good enough, because at least here also, even if you don't study, even if you don't know anything, out of 20 at least you can get 5. So getting 15 out of 30 is good enough according to me. So now pedagogical issues. So see, what are pedagogical issues? Pedagogical issues are related to pedagogy, which means CDP. So if your CDP is good, you know you can score very well. So pedagogical issues, let us discuss first. So in pedagogical issues we have 7 subunits. So number 1 says building blocks of mathematics. Definitions, we need to know what is mathematics, what is the nature of mathematics, what is the scope of mathematics. Then we need to know axioms, then we need to know what is conjecture, then proof and counter examples. So these things I have already I have already shared in my Telegram group long before, so you can collect it from there. These informations I have already shared. Then in number 2 we have place of mathematics in school curriculum. How important is mathematics? How significant is mathematics? How can mathematics help in collaborative learning? How can mathematics help in correlation with other subjects? So those things we will be discussing around here, under here. Now number 3 says mathematics outside the classroom. So how is mathematics helping outside the classroom? You know, every day we deal with money, right? Money. So that is what, that is mathematics outside the classroom. How to find out the profit, the discount, the loss, the principal, the interest, right? Everything. Then ICT tools and resources, learning apps and softwares. Now how is information and communication technology helping in the learning of mathematics? We should know that. What are the different type of apps? What are the different types of, you know, ways in which mathematics is helping us? What are the different type of software which help us to excel our knowledge in mathematics? Those things also we have to know. Number 5, methods of teaching mathematics. Inductive method, there are inductive methods, deductive methods, analysis, synthesis, projects, problem solving, and discovery methods. So you know, there are different type of methods which we use in order to teach mathematics. For example, the main ones are inductive and deductive ways of teaching mathematics. So deductive means what? Going from general to specific, and inductive means going from specific to general. These, the whatever I'm saying right now is very important. If possible, you write down in your notebook. Deductive means going from general to specific, and inductive means going from specific to general. All right, let's go to the part 6. This is what assessment and evaluation in mathematics. So how do we do the assessment and how do we evaluate the learners in mathematics? That we have to keep in mind. Then community mathematics. What do we mean by community mathematics? So that also you have to study nicely. So these were the subunits for pedagogical issues, which is very easy, believe me. Then the next we have content knowledge. Content knowledge means whatever is actually taught or we learn in maths. So we have number system. So natural numbers, whole numbers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, integers, all this you have to revise once more. Then what do we mean by prime numbers, composite numbers, co-prime numbers? Those you have to study. Then factors and multiples, including LCM and HCF. All right, lowest common multiple and highest common factor. So these two you have to study. You know, these things you'll get up to from classes 6 to 8. You will find this LCM and HCF. Even in class 4 you will find, 5 also you'll find. Then ratios and proportions. What are different types of ratios? What are proportions? You have to find out. Then profit, loss, and discount. Then introduction to algebra. Variables. What are variables? What are coefficient to variables? And constants. What are constants? What are variables? And what are coefficient? These things you should be able to differentiate. Now linear equations, algebraic identities. Example, a plus b whole square or a minus b whole square. Then a square minus b square and their applications. So how are we going to apply these formulas and solve the problem? That you have to keep in mind. Then here comes a part of geometry. That is the what is a line? What are different type of angles, like right angles, obtuse angle, right angle. Then triangles, you have to find a different type of triangles, right angle triangle, right? Then their properties also you should know. You will find these in class 9 also, you know, class 9, class 10. But it is better if you start from the beginning, that is from primary or elementary textbooks. Then symmetry. What is symmetry? What is reflection? That you need to see in terms of mathematics. All right, then we have number 10, that is area and perimeter of triangle. What is the area of a triangle? What is the formula for area of triangle? What is the area for formula? What is the formula for area of rectangle, area of parallelogram, area of trapezium, area of circle, circumference of circle, and their applications as well, like how it is helping in day-to-day life. Then you have to also read data, and this is called data interpretation type, right? So bar graph, what is a bar graph, what is a mean, median, mode. So these things you study in class, you study in classes 9, of course in 9, but some of these you also study in class 10. But see here, reference is given, right? So you can refer to embossed textbook classes 1 to 8. They said classes 1 to 8, but they are asking more than class 8, which means they are asking up to class 10. So when you go to become a teacher of classes UP section teacher, you have to be ready, you have to upgrade your knowledge up to class 10. All right, you have to upgrade your knowledge up to class 10, which means you have to read the textbooks of class 10. All right, so this was all in this video. So I have explained to you the syllabus of mathematics very nicely, so you don't have to be scared of mathematics. Don't be scared. If you are not able to solve anything from content knowledge, you please try from pedagogical issues. All right, that's why I have been repeatedly saying that you have to master your CDP. If your CDP is good, nothing can stop you from scoring or at least getting a pass mark. And you know what, this Mtet exam is not like exam where you have to score in. This is an eligibility exam, which means uh, an exam where you just need to qualify, which means even if you get just pass mark, that is more than enough for you, because once you are qualified, once you pass your Mtet exam, all you are going to do is just to give the interview and pass the interview and get the job or the appointment, right? It is not like other exams where you have to give the exams and you have to score so that some percentage of your theoretical exam will also be taken along with interview. It is not like that. All right, so as of now it is very easy for the people of Meghalaya. For us, it is very easy to pass this exam, to qualify this Mtet exam and get the appointments, provided we have the correct and the required eligibility criteria, right? So I think I have made it clear, and if any doubt you are having regarding this, please feel free to comment in the comment section and inquire or clear your doubts. All right, so I hope that I'm able to help you in whatever way I can, and you are always welcome to raise your queries and get in touch with Ashok Tutorials. So thank you everyone for staying connected with Ashok Tutorials. Thank you. Hello everyone, so welcome you back to Ashok Tutorials, Meghalaya's first Mtet channel. So today we are going to discuss paper 2 science syllabus for 2024 Mtet exam. So as you know, this is also going to be for 30 marks. This subject science is also going to be for 30 marks, which means there will be 30 questions altogether, right? So the syllabus looks very tiny, very small and cute, but then there are going to be a lots and lots of things. Once we discuss the syllabus, you will come to know. All right, so the syllabus is divided into how many parts? It has been divided into 6 units. Unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 units. All right, so let's discuss them unit by unit. So let's first of all go to unit 1. All right, unit 1. So in unit 1 you have nature of science. So what is the nature of science? We have to know that. What are the scopes, what are the what are the scope of science, what are the significance of science, what are the characteristics, the scientific knowledge, the scientific inquiry, the scientific methods and scientific attitude. We have to study in detail. We have to understand the meaning of each, like what do we mean by the nature of science, the characteristics of science, scientific knowledge, the scientific inquiry, scientific methods we use for different type of activities, and the scientific attitude which we all should have as science science candidates or science students or teachers. So now let's discuss unit 2. Unit 2 is about learning objectives. So what are the objectives of learning science? So science with reference to NCF 2005. So you all know what is NCF 2005, right? So National Curriculum Framework. So what is the place of science according to National Curriculum Framework 2005? So you should know the full form of NCF. If you do not know, please write down in your diary or in your copy right now. NCF means National Curriculum Framework 2005. All right, let's discuss unit 3 now. So assessment, unit 3 is about assessments. So what are the different type of assessment, what is the purpose of assessment, what are the tools used in the process of assessing students, and what are the techniques used. So we know basically broadly there are two types of assessment, right? Formative assessment as well as summative assessment. So what are the types, what is the purpose of assessing the students, what are the tools we used in order to assess our students, and what are the techniques or the tactics we use in order to do so. Then unit 4, unit 4 is about approaches to teaching science. Now what are the different type of approaches we can use in order to teach our science subject more effectively or efficiently? So approaches can be observation, experiments, hands-on activities, concept map, and constructivism attitude, right? So if we want to be the science teachers, what we have to do is that we have to be very much observant and ask the students as well to be observant. They should have the thirst for science, they should have the thirst for knowledge, they should have inquisitive mind, right? Then observation is the best method. Then comes experimentation, we do experiments and we study science. Then we do hands-on activities, then we do concept mapping and constructivism, right? So these are the approaches to learning of science. Now let's discuss unit 5. So learning, teaching, resources. So what are the different types of resources we can use in order to make our learning a very effective and a very efficient one? So the learning tools or the teaching resources can be use of local resources. We don't have to go so much for hi-fi resources. Whatever is available locally in your area, you should try to make use of them whenever you are going to impart knowledge or whenever you are going to teach in the classrooms. All right, so don't go for those posh costly stuffs for using them as your teaching aids. Just look around the backyard, in the garden, near the jungles, and try to find out the teaching aids and try to make the local resources useful and productive, by applying your ideas, your knowledge, and shaping the locally available resources into a productive one. Now textbooks, so we all know that in schools we use textbooks, right? Then ICT, how is information and communication technology be used as a learning resource that we have to know. Then laboratories plays a very important, a very vital role in learning of science, right? Then field trips, of course, I was lucky enough when I was doing my BSc, we were taken for several field trips, from first year to third year. We have visited many places in Meghalaya. So very happy and very very fortunate I was. Now films, and we watch different type of films, the videos in YouTube, right? Then science exhibitions, of course, the science exhibitions, the seminars, the webinars were conducted, hands-on trainings were given, DBT star projects were given, then hands-on activities were given, then conferences were attended by us. So different type of exhibition. When you are learning science, when you become a science student, it's very very interesting. Of course you don't get time at all for doing other stuffs. You cannot do, you are not free. All right, you're not free, you have to be with your books all the time, but of course you can enjoy a lot and lot of informative sessions through different type of activities, be it webinars, seminars, conferences, workshops, right? Then let's come to the last unit, that is unit 6, school science concepts. So what are the scientific concepts? Content areas, these are content areas, means these are all related to only science textbooks. So you have to learn about motion, force, and energy. What is a motion, what are the different types of motions. Now what is a force, the push and pull force. Then you need to know energy. What is energy? Can energy be created? Can energy be destroyed? That you have to learn. Then heat and temperature. What is heat? What is temperature? What is light? What is electricity? States of matter. There are three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Then acid, bases, and salts. You need to know when we combine acid and base, what do we get. Then chemical symbols and formulae. For example, the chemical formula for methane is CH4, right? The chemical formula for water is H2O. So those you have to know. Then what is plant cell and animal cell? What are the differences between plant cell and animal cell? You know the basic difference between plant cell and animal cell is that plant cells have got cell wall and animal cells do not have a cell wall, right? Then who discovered the cell? When was the cell discovered? What is unicellular? What do you mean by unicellular organisms? What do you mean by multicellular organisms? What are prokaryotic cells? What are eukaryotic cells? Who discovered the cell? When was the cell discovered? How was the cell discovered? What are the components of soil? I mean cell. You have to know. Nutrition in plants and animals. Now you have to know the different type of nutritions like uh, heterotropic nutrition, autotropic nutrition, then holozoic nutrition, right? Parasitic nutrition, then symbiosis, commensalism, competition, predators, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, decomposers, all those you have to know. Then respiration in animals and plants. Now how do the animals and plants respire? The plants, they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. The animal on the other hand, they take in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide, which means there is a mutual relationship between the plants and animals, right? Which means both are interdependent on one another. So what are the organs used in the process of respiration in human beings? Though that also you have to understand. See, many of you might be thinking it is talking about animals, but of course human beings are also animals. We are all animals, right? Are we plants? No, we are not plants, we are animals. But then of course, since we human beings, we have a brain, that's why we don't call ourselves as animals, we call ourselves as humans, right? But scientifically speaking, we are all animals, right? Then circulation in animals. Now how is the process of circulation taking place in human beings, and what is that, what which system, which component is used in our circulatory system, or what is the main component of our circulatory system? It is the blood, right? The blood is the main part of the circulatory system. Then you have to know what are the different type of blood cells: RBC, WBC, platelets, plasma, the components of blood, right? Then how does blood help us to, maintain our life? How are we, you know living, or how is the blood transporting oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide outside the body, and taking in the oxygen and transporting? Why does the color of the blood looks red? What are the components of blood? So all those things we shall study in detail, right, when we are discussing science. So this is all in this video. So I hope I was very clear in explaining to you the syllabus for Mtet 2024 exam science paper 2. So thank you everyone for staying connected with Ashok Tutorials, Meghalaya's first Mtet channel. Thank you. Hello everyone, so welcome you back to Ashok Tutorials. Well, today we are going to discuss the syllabus for social science Mtet 2024, right? Paper 2, which means for UP section. So let's see what we have in the syllabus. But before I tell you what we have in the syllabus, I would like to tell you about the marks distribution. So total marks given for social science is 60, that is 60, not like science and maths. Science and maths are separate. So but still, those who want to attempt science, those who want to go with science, they have to write compulsorily both the maths and science for 30 marks, that is 30 plus 30 60, right? But those who are from arts background and you want to go with social science, you will directly be getting 60 marks for social science, right? So what do we have? Let's see. Well, so number one, we have nature and scope of social science. So you know, before reading anything, we should be able to know what is social science, what is the nature of social science, and what is the scope, what is the significance, why do we need to study social science. And this will be for 5 marks. So this number 1 will be for 5 marks. Here we will be learning about the concept of social science, the differences between social studies and social science. So how are social studies and social science different from one another, that we will learn here. Then learning objectives of social science, what are the different types of learning objectives in social science, that we shall discuss out here. Then approaches in what, approaches in social sciences. All right, approaches in social science. So systematic and regional approach. So what are systematic and regional approaches to social science? Then reconstruction of history through what, through evidences. See, we know that we believe in history only through evidences, right? So interdisciplinary approach we have to study, theme based approach we have to study, and inquiry and reflective approach. So in order to approach social science, we need to study different type of approaches, right? So these are the approaches to social science study. Now let's go to the next one. Let's go down. I think I should zoom it a little bit, right? Yes, like this. Good. So this number 2 is for 15 marks. 15 marks. So this is pedagogy. Basically pedagogy means, you know, child development and pedagogy, right? So those things are the ones. So 15 out of 15 you can score directly if you are very well versed with CDP subject. So pedagogy and learning resources. So what is oral history? Oral histories you need to know, case studies you need to know, critical pedagogy, cooperative learning, experiential learning including field study. Then what are projects, what are observation method, dialogues and discussions, brainstorming is very important, concept mapping and mind mapping very important. Then discovery learning, problem solving skills, role play and dramatization, contextualization, what is picture analysis, what is stories, what are stories, I mean inquiry learning, digital pedagogy, reflective learning. Then what we have, theme based learning. So all these, you know, all these you have to study. All right, all these you have to study in detail. Now number 3 we have learning resources, print, non-print, digital learning resources. So what are the different type of resources? Learning resources, printed, non-printed, digital learning resources, the slides, the screen, right? All, everything we have to study, like whatever the resources available in enhancing our learning of social science. All right, this will be for 10 marks, remember. Now we have number 4, and in number 4 we have assessment. What is assessment? Assessment for learning, assessment of learning, assessment in learning. And there are 2 types of assessment basically, that is formative assessment and summative assessment. Formative assessment means those type of assessment which takes place during the session, during the course of study, which means the class test, the recapitalization. So all this comes under formative assessment. And summative assessment means the type of assessment which takes place at the end of the session, which means the half yearly examination, the annual examination, the semester exams, right? Now differences between assessment and evaluation. See, we know assessment and evaluation are not the same. So what is the difference? What are the differences between them? We have to find out. Then learning outcomes in social science at the elementary level as per NCERT LO document. All right, we need to know what are the learning outcomes, what are the outcomes of social science at the elementary level as per NCERT. Then assessment techniques and tools which we use in order to study social science efficiently. Recording, reporting, and documentation of assessment outcomes. Now, whatever the assessment outcome is, how do we record them? How do we report them? Those we have to know. Now, see here, social science knowledge. So this is will deeply go into directly into the social science subject. All right. So sources of history. What are the different sources of history? Earliest civilization, Mohenjo-daro, then different type of civilizations were there, right? Harappa civilization, then foundation and consolidation of the Mughal Empire in India, then national and Indian national movements and contribution of Uthirot Singh, Yangnangba, and Patogan Sangma in Indian national movement. So how did Uthirot Singh, Yangnangba, and Patogan Sangma helped in freedom of the country while fighting with the Britishers? So how did these freedom fighters of our state help in the independence of our country? Their contribution we have to study. Now, partition, transfer of power, and making of Indian constitution. See, basically these parts are what? These parts are the history parts, right? History. These are all history. Then next we have, oh sorry, it went extra, right? All right, next we have what is partition, what is transfer of powers, and making of Indian constitution. Who is known as the father of Indian constitution? Please tell me in the comment section. Hill state movement in Meghalaya. The Indian constitution, the preamble, the salient features of the Indian constitution we should know. Organs of the government, forms of government: democratic government, direct, indirect, and representative democracy, and dictatorship. Where do we have dictatorship in the country? North Korea, right? Then even other countries we have. Please comment. Structure of government: unitary and federal structures, parliamentary structures, and presidential government. Then concept of nation and state. Social structure and social stratification. Now, community and socio-political groups. Then government for development. Understanding media, map. All right, understanding media. See, from here, partition or transfer of power till this part, understanding media, this comes under politics, or you can also say it as civics, right? Next we are left with geography. So maps the earth and its movement, rock and minerals, weather and climate, drainage system, natural vegetation and wildlife, flora and fauna, physical features of India with respect to Meghalaya. Then water and oceans, international and state boundaries we need to know, population we have to know, right? Then human activities: primary activities, secondary activities, tertiary activities, quaternary activities, transport and communication, pollution. Human activities, transport and communication, pollution, natural hazards and disaster management. So these things. All right, let me go a little bit up. So from here this map to, where do we go? Till here, till disaster management. This is our geography. And these sectors of Indian economy: understanding banking, types of account, and consumer right and protection. This last unit comes under economics. All right, under economics. So you know that social science is broadly divided into 4 parts, right? The history, civics, geography, and the economics. So I have divided the syllabus. I have divided and shown you which part is what. So I hope this was very much clear for you, easy for you to understand, and I hope there will be no doubt left. Of course, if you do not have the notes, if you don't know from where to study, you will have doubts. But apart from that, I don't think there should be any doubt regarding the syllabus of the exam, right? So even I will try to make the videos for the content. For the content means whatever is given in the syllabus, I will try to make one video for one topic or one unit, so that it becomes easy for you. And as I always advise you not to buy any textbooks from the market, so please don't buy it, because they give irrelevant stuffs which, which waste your time. You are wasting your time reading the stuffs which are not even required by Mtet, right? So to be more specific, to be more precise, that's why I ask you not to buy the notes from the market. Instead, focus on the videos, watch my videos and make your own notes. And if you still think that you need extra help, then you can contact us at our Telegram group, Ashok Tutorials. So thank you everyone for staying in connection with Ashok Tutorials and showing your love and support to my channel. So please share, like and subscribe, and wish you all the best.